Hey, what's good, interweb? Welcome into Friday evening. Hopefully, you've got something on tap for the weekend that's good. So, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about today, and I had no clue. I was been kind of obsessed with nostalgia and the past, and that kind of thing as of late. Probably because my life's not where I necessarily need it to be. But I logged into my MySpace a few years ago. Remember when everybody was friends with Tom and MySpace was supposed to be the next big thing? So I logged into mine, and I was disappointed because my blogs weren't there anymore, and I wanted to read them, knowing that a few of them were probably pretty intense because this guy was a very different guy back then, as most of us were. But I thought they were lost and or buried on the internet someplace. So I wasn't gonna dwell on it. Well, the other day I got a notification that space was running out in my Gmail. I couldn't figure out why, and come to find out, all of my sent emails were still there. So I started looking through them, and lo and behold, I had sent myself all of my MySpace blogs, which is pretty cool. So I got to read a couple of them. Thought about bringing up one of those, but again, not the right mood for a Friday night. And then I thought about the fact that maybe I'm becoming a woman. So I spent 5 minutes this morning trying to figure out missing my long hair, and then spent another additional part of the day debating whether or not I was going to buzz cut my head. So didn't feel like that was worthy conversation either. And then I got on the subject of documentaries, which made me feel like that TV commercial where the guy helps people become less like their parents. Who reads books about submarines? My dad. Who watches documentaries? My dad. But there are a couple of good ones out there, and one of them is going to be out in January that it's piqued my curiosity about Glee, in whether or not the show is or was cursed. There were 10 original cast members. All of them, everybody kind of became household names, and the show wasn't bad. I liked their take on songs, especially what made me think of this was Last Christmas. I like their version of Last Christmas. It's a cappella, it's nice. And I do like the current version of Last Christmas, but we won't go there because one of the singers is being accused of rape right now, so let's just leave that alone. But the cast of Glee, three of which are dead. Mark Saling took his own life by a suicide. Naya Rivera was swimming with her son when she passed away and drowned. And of course, you've got Corey Monteith, who that combination of alcohol and heroin, yeah, that'll get you every time. But they start to believe that maybe the show was cursed. So it's going to be on, I think, ID channel in January. It's only 3 episodes long, so I'm kind of interested in watching that. But there's some other good documentaries out there too. I loved The Last Dance that was on ESPN, and now you can find it on Netflix, about Michael Jordan and the '97 Bulls and their last run. Great. Project Foxcatcher, or I think that's the name of it, was a movie a while back with Channing Tatum and Steve Carell and Mark Ruffalo. It's about amateur wrestling and killing, and it's so good. But the actual documentary about how all that went down is even better. That's out there. And I started watching The Vow with Lauren, and I used to be obsessed with Smallville. I used to watch it religiously every Thursday night. And Allison Mack played Chloe Sullivan on Smallville, and she was caught up in this sex cult thing. I didn't realize The Vow was the same sex cult until I had interviewed Michael Rosenbaum a few years back. He played Lex Luthor on Smallville, has his own podcast called Inside of You, and I had been talking to him on his show and watched a couple of episodes of his podcast. And Sarah Edmondson, who was one of the people who left the cult, was on, and I was fascinated by what she had to say. Lo and behold, HBO did a documentary called The Vow, which was all about this cult. And you find out that there are some people you might recognize from TV shows. One of the financiers was the heir to the Seagram's gin fortune. I had to Google Catherine Oxenberg because I wasn't sure who she was. Her daughter got caught up in this thing. She's a TV star from Dynasty back in the 80s, in case you were wondering. But all these people follow this guy named Keith Raniere, who looks like a complete D-bag. Couldn't figure out why anybody would buy into what this guy says, but when you start watching this show, you go, oh my god, these people like fell right in. And the one guy said nobody wakes up and says they want to join a cult, but they do. It's a pretty interesting thing. You had like different levels of the cult, and girls were getting like brands of this guy and Allison Mack's initials because she was like second in command. They were branding women in her basement. They had all these sex slaves and stuff. It's some pretty messed up stuff. They all basically took over a community in Albany, New York, and now this guy is in jail. And there's 2 seasons. I think it's like 8 or 9 episodes each. We made it through the first season. We've started the second season. It's on HBO Max. It's called The Vow. It's a pretty good watch. So if you didn't find my rambling for 5.5 minutes tonight entertaining, then perhaps I provided you with some good documentary stuff that you might watch while you're sitting at home this weekend. Because this time of year, let's be honest, most people, if you don't want to do Christmas shopping or you do it online, you're not spending a ton of money this year additionally to what you're going to spend on Christmas purchases, unless you got it like that and you're well off. And in which case, I'm super envious, and please let me know what you did other than work hard, because I like a piece of that. But nonetheless, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.